pretend that you know nothing about what we present. Some of you don't. Some of you just for little bits and pieces. But looking at those products on that screen, what do you think they all have in common? I know it's kind of far away for some of you. Mark, what do you need to come from? Just kidding. Just kidding. So go ahead and just share out.
Household products.
Household products, okay. Oh, environmentally unfriendly. So can you keep going that route?
So plastics.
Plastics. Okay.
All contain no carcinogens.
All right. So their packaging is not helpful to the environment.
All of them say something like organic or bio, honesty, things like that. Something that makes you think in your mind that it's natural.
Okay. Perfect.
Is that Tabasco sauce?
Right here?
No. It's like
Oh, right here? It's some sort of restaurant. Yeah, they work.
Okay. So these are all products that have been tested on animals. Just to let you know that. Okay. So that's what you guys think about.
Okay, so now on a little piece of paper, we want you to write for about 3 to 5 minutes. And we want you to write on, should animals be used in educational and scientific testing? So we want you to choose a side and support your thinking. So do you think animals should be used in scientific or educational testing? Yes or no? Tell us why. All right, finish up your thought.
All right, so now what we're going to do is get you up out of your seats. So if you agree that animals should be used in testing and education, you go over by the yes tag. And if you don't agree that animals should be tested in education or products, you go to no. And your job is to have a little discussion about your reasons why.
I need one spokesperson.
Okay, can we get the spokesman for the
Ladies first.
Okay.
Oh.
We just said that animal testing is definitely helpful if it's for, scientific medical reasons. So if you're trying to look for a cure for cancer and you need to stop some medication, I mean, it might be harmful to test it on humans first, especially humans that have cancer and their immunities are way low. So testing on animals is good for that. However, we did say makeup testing is a little vain, so we focus more on if it's going to save human life, then that's fine. But if it's for our own vanity, then not necessarily.
We'll give you that, and we sit on the fence too with the experimentation that will save thousands of people from suffering from cancer. That's the only trepidation we have. However, if you focus just on animals, and that just becomes okay to mess around with whatever animals you do, what does it do to our own mindfulness as human beings of observing our own bodies and our own lives and looking at how other human beings react? Because isn't it ironic that we get farther and farther away from humans to test what we need to help humans that we interact with all the time? Also, a lot of it's just tradition. Mindy was mentioning some vivisection of horses at the University of Oklahoma that just doesn't need to be done. And now that they're looking at cruelty to animals, they're finding that a lot of the testing that they do is just because, I don't know, your graduate advisor did it the generation before, and it doesn't help you. It just causes suffering. Often they have different physiology that doesn't catch up. And aren't we advanced enough to look at other things? Can't we clone some ears? I think was one body part we mentioned. If we want to look at ears or clone inner ear parts and play with those things that aren't attached to a larger being. What else do we have? I mean, I was thinking at the very end of a religious argument, sometimes the argument is, well, God said, if you're pretty literal, that man should have dominion over all creatures, but God did not say that man plays God. And having dominion over creatures and the environment, to me, talks about it. If I'm looking at the New Testament, certainly about caring for them and loving for them. So that's kind of what we see.
Good job, you guys.
Both sides. Yes, yes.
It's nice to see the passion.
All right, so we did this with our 5th graders this last year. We had them do a quick write, and then from their quick write, we had them get their group, just like you guys did. We had them share out. Tara and I gave our kids the option for the it depends. We will not be doing Jacques did not. Okay, so this was the before. They haven't read anything. This is just their opinions. So as you can see, I have 4 boys who are, yes, they all come from hunting, fishing families. Like, yeah, I kill the animals. My no group, very tender hearts, and then the majority was the, I don't know, maybe if it's okay if, or I don't know, it might be okay if, you know, they were kind of wishy-washy at that time. So there's your little before picture of our testing. And we have.
So you might be wondering why we would broach the subject in 5th grade, but it goes with our science kit. In our science kit, which Jacques will talk about a little bit more, and he'll just kind of explain that. But there is a part where you're supposed to include the ecosystem. So we always grapple with that. What should we do with the animals? They encourage you in the kit to kill the animals, just saying. And it's always really, I mean, personally, it's really hard for me. So I oftentimes send the animals home with the kids. We all have our own system of doing that because you're not supposed to let them out in the wild because they're not indigenous to our area. So that causes problems like crawdads are now places they shouldn't be because the teachers all let them go. And there are, there's an influx of crawdads where they're not supposed to be along certain creeks and stuff. And this is also, we have a CBA in the spring, which is an opinion writing. And we felt like, okay, the CBA is huge for us, for our grade level. How can we support them before that and give them an opportunity to try some opinion writing first with more scaffolding and more support before they get to that ultimate, the ultimate writing piece that the state requires. So that's why we tried to do that as well. And, solving a real problem. This is real. This is real life. It's hard. You think 5th graders, it's really hard, and we kind of grappled with that too. But it's real for our grade level, and it's real for our science. So that's kind of what I chose that.
In our ecosystems unit, what we do is the kids build 2 different ecosystems. They build a terrarium, and in the terrarium, along with plants, there's also crickets and potato bugs. And they build an aquarium, and in the aquarium there are guppies and snails. And one later on, after they've observed the growth and observed how the creatures and the plants interact, they get to pollute them, and they pollute them with acid rain, which is a vinegar mixture, or road salt, which is just table salt, or fertilizer. And in that, they have the option of leaving the animals in or out. And in my class, actually I did it with 3 5th grade classes at another school. The kids got to choose in that group. They made the decision whether to leave the animals in and out. And the majority of them choose to take them out, but there's always one group or 2 that decide to leave them in.
And my class almost always leaves them in. I've only had 1 or 2 groups ever take them home.
And I probably encourage my students to take them home. Because I really have a hard time with animal suffering and all of that. And I know that I just grapple with it myself personally.
Do you think they form a relationship? Like it's not
They name them. Oh, here's my fish Bubbles, and there's Bam Bam and Pebbles. And, they have their fish and their, oh yeah.
And the book actually recommends that you put them in a bag and freeze them at the end.
So we tied these. Last year we didn't do this, but this year we kind of did it, but we were more intentional in tying to the Common Core. But what we wanted you to notice mostly is C, link opinion and reasons using words, phrases, and clauses. We didn't specifically or intentionally teach that last year. So this year we'd like to make sure we focus on that because consequently and specifically we haven't used those bigger words to do that linking of the ideas, and so we know that that's a place that we need to build as well. So you can kind of see that it's all about writing opinion, or writing, yes, opinion, and then down below it's close reading strategy. So you have to do both in this unit.
So our goal for our kids is once they've had this part where you guys are at, now they go and they read 2 different pieces of writing so they are able to look at 2 sides and then form their own opinion from their reading. Then they're able to write an organized piece. They have to have a topic sentence, they have to have 2 supporting details, they have to have a call to action, And then we also work on having those discussion strategies, so being able to work in small groups and, you know, form their opinions as groups, have those arguments together respectfully in class where they each get to say their own sides, and having those group discussions, which helps them then get those ideas out, so then that's easier in fifth grade to carry them extra or get them back onto paper.
Before we can do that, we have to teach them the vocabulary, and the call to action is part of our CPA and social studies. So this is again a first opportunity to do that. The one that I had some trouble with was opinion, teaching the classes that I did, because kids have tons of opinions, but when you say, what's your proof, how can you back that up, that's where they have problems in fifth grade. Then the evidence facts, we talked about author's bias, and you'll see a couple little short videos that are pretty obvious about author's bias. Reliability, fact versus opinion, and drawing under emotions, because fifth graders have lots of emotions.
You should tell them about your Disney that you told your kids. The Disney, like how you the
Oh,
kids
yeah.
and their animals.
So they're raised with Bambi and Thumper and how all the animals are humans, and that's pretty hard for some of them to let go of that.
Okay, so then we have two videos that we're going to show you, and we looked for a long time for videos that are appropriate for 10-year-olds about like animal testing. So the pro-animal testing side wasn't as hard, but the anti-animal testing side was gruesome. So the one we found was really an animal shelter video, but it talks about like don't let animals suffer. And then afterwards the kids are like, that's not even animal testing, like they're all upset. But especially like your pro-animal testers. So there's our little disclaimer. Here are our videos.
So you can't let kids go on the internet with this topic.
Who wants to slow down breast cancer research? The animal rights movement. They want to end medical testing in order to save lab rats. If you ever took a prescription drug or had surgery, you owe your life to medical testing on animals. Your life. Since the animal rights movement doesn't care about your life, why should they have a say in what you eat or wear? Find out about this threat to medical research at consumerfreedom.com.
Yep. A little bias there. So we stop and talk about that. And then here's number 2.
And I had to show the videos twice.
Just the music, I know.
That's a picture of a cat with one eye. You can't really tell. A dog sitting on a lawn chair.
And on the second time I did kick in singing.
You did what?
I did sing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Nice. So, the next part is, at the end of your tables, you need to take a benefits of animal-based testing for science and then a green sheet as well, please, and pass those on. There's some right there. So every table will give you a minute to pass those along. So as you guys know, in Common Core, especially with human writing or argumentative, it's important to look at both sides. And this is really our first time doing this with our students. This unit starts, it's in the fall, so probably, was it around, you might correct me if I'm wrong, October-ish? Yeah. We were probably writing this, so it's early. We keep playing with our graphic organizer, and last year we had a different But going back to Kathy's first presentation, the 3 C's, the last C is the C we were having troubles with. The kids were doing a really good job of finding a quote, but not necessarily taking the time then to explain and tie how that quote supported their reason, using that quote supported their reasoning in what way. So the explanation, the elaboration part. So we're still playing around with our graphic organizer. We changed it from last year to this year. So essentially, as we read, we're going to take a quote from the research article, and then we want to think about how does that quote support my opinion. Now remember, we're going to support both sides for a little bit before we actually make that determination of our own opinion. So I want you to look at the blue sheet, and basically, I'm going to read this part to you first. Remember, we're kind of fast forwarding this, right? So this lesson right here would definitely take at least 2 days to go both sides. And we also had 2 articles of each. We were only giving you 1 article of each. In addition, we would have done mini lessons on call to action. I mean, this is a bigger unit than what you're seeing, as you know, just like your presentations will be on Thursday and Friday. So if you guys could follow along with me as I just read this, and then I'm going to ask you just to peruse. It gives you different medical advancements in medicine after having used animals supposedly for their testing. The benefits or successes of animal-based science are so widespread that it is hard to imagine any area of our lives that is unaffected by them. The specific benefits of animal-based science are therefore far too numerous to list here. So the general benefits will be outlined first, then just a few specific benefits will be listed as examples. And that will be followed by a very brief history showing when some important biomedical developments occurred. So if you guys could kind of peruse this paragraph here and just kind of look through and see all of the advancements. I'm going to give you a couple minutes just to look through, and then I'm going to walk you through me choosing one piece of evidence and how I would go about that, okay? So I'll give you a couple minutes. You can work with a partner. You guys can like talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you 2 or 3 minutes, and we'll come back together. We're not rating anything at this point. We're just looking. Just out of curiosity, did anybody, were there any surprises? Did people have a surprise on something that they learned? No surprises? I have lots of surprises. I'm just
Well, in the 1500 section when they're like, oh, I'm using an ointment rather than boiling oil for treating wounds. It's
Yeah.
like, whoever thought to use boiling oil? I mean, that's not smart.
What about the whole bleaching thing first?
Yeah.
Lots and lots of years, you know? So they just stopped that. Okay, at this point, the I part, I'm going to talk you through one that I would use. So I would like you guys to write this down with me. This would be one that I'm going to do, but I want you guys to write it as well. And then we'll do one together. And then we're going to read an article with Jacques that goes against animal testing. Gives you reasons why we shouldn't. So the quote that I want to use is down here in between 1950 and 1970, the development of heart, lung machine, open heart surgery, heart pacemakers, and heart valve replacements. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a quote there, put a quotation mark in my evidence box. This is pro-animal testing. Make sure you're on the right side, 1950 to 1970. And I'm just going to write it exactly like I see it. Development of heart-lung machine, comma, open heart surgery, comma, heart pacemakers. And in class, we talk about how if you're writing a quote, you have to quote it exactly. So that's why I'm saying the comma. I'm not trying to be annoying, I promise. And heart valve replacements. And then have a quotation mark at the end of that. Okay, so on the explanation of how that quote supports your opinion, if my opinion, right now my opinion is, yes, there should be animal testing. That's just the side I'm researching right now. So if I believe that, and I'm just believing it for a moment, it doesn't mean that it's my last final decision, if I use this quote, how, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so how does this quote explain that I think animal testing is important? Well, if they hadn't used animals to try these different, you know, what word am I looking for? Different surgeries or different procedures, then my grandfather and my uncle would not be alive today. So we've already taught them how to use anecdotes. So I could also use an anecdote here to explain how my uncle had open heart surgery and repaired 4 valves and is still alive and doing awesome today, you know? And I'm thinking, remember, as a 5th grader, but a little bit higher, trying to lead them through that. So if it weren't for these procedures, if it weren't for these procedures, many families would have lost family members. And then I'm going to tell you, for example, my uncle had open heart surgery to repair 4 valves. He's doing great today. He's doing well today. So we would talk about how if you have the way you can use that evidence, if you can find a piece in here that is personal to you, where you can actually talk about how somebody from your family or somebody that you know benefited, it actually means a little bit more because it's more personal to you. So, does anybody have questions so far? Do you see how I tried to choose something that was personal to me? Because opinion writing can sometimes have a little bit of a persuasive bent. Would you agree to that? Okay. So I'm kind of being a little persuasive here. Like if this hadn't happened, my uncle would be dead, basically, essentially, right? Cause and effect, right? So I'm hoping that, let's turn to the 1800s page. That would be the 2nd page. And maybe even, actually, let's go to the last page because those are kind of closer to us now. Let's look down here and see, is there anything, any of these quotes that you guys think we could totally use to help us to choose that quote and support it? Perhaps somebody in here has a family member that benefited from one of these procedures. Let's see. So look, here's Alzheimer's, strokes.
Jess?
Did you want us to volunteer that?
Yes,
Oh.
would you? Yes. Do you
Well,
have one?
Yeah, I have a family member that has cystic fibrosis.
So right here.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and use just as I did here. So in our second box, we're going to say 1990s. Oops, 1990s, pretend there's a 1990s. Genetic therapy. For cystic fibrosis began. So Jess, you have a family member, is that like a cousin, what is that?
Well, it's my boyfriend's sister.
Okay, so so I would say Jess's friend has benefited from this procedure because her life would be a lot different, right? Now.
And she's had a double bone transplant too.
Oh wow, from this procedure, and is able to function well as a result. Had this work not been done, because I'm sure the kids or the people that were having those difficulties probably died, right? I'm sure.
Yeah.
Had this work not been done, are just two, so we did an I, talked you through this one, we, meaning I pulled from somebody's idea from the group, and then Jacques, you've already passed out
There's the end of the road.
okay, Kaley and I found a way better article than we had last year. So there is an article, their articles are at the end of the tables. If you could take one of those, then Jacques is gonna turn that over. There's also a rubric for you guys. So you have the against and the rubric, okay? The against.
So I really appreciate the second column a lot because I don't know if you guys have students that will put in quotes that don't belong or support anything. But that tie-in has been a really good tool to help kids tie it together. I'm not going to read you this article because it is your practicing on your own, and you probably don't really need to read the whole article. If I was doing this in a classroom, I'd have to gauge, where the reading level is of kids, and we might do that in small groups or some other way, but you guys aren't fifth graders, so you can handle this. The other thing that they did on the organization of this document is they gave huge clues with these gray blocks. So even if the kid can't do the whole thing, if they can look at those gray blocks, there's two of them, they should be able to come up with an answer. So what you're going to do is pick, again, as Tara said, you pick a quote from the article and you write down somehow how that supports your opinion that animal testing should not be done.
This is not bad.
Pardon?
It's not bad.
Yeah, the con side is on the back of your green graphic organizer.
And they can work with the partner, so you guys can work with the partner if you'd like.
All right, finish up your idea. Does anyone have one that they would like to share with everyone? I'll stick with the class. Anyone find a quote?
I would like to point that our group talks about animals not only react differently than humans to drugs, vaccines, and experiments, they also react differently from one another. Ignoring this difference has been and continues to be very costly.
Anyone else?
I was struck by the top of the second page. The team stopped just short of creating the polio vaccine that would be released to the public without testing on animals.
And what would you put for your second one?
Well, what are the implications for what we might be doing if we weren't using animals?
Should we finish Michelle's?
Okay. Michelle, if you could.
I used the same quote as Michelle did, and what I used for this column was the evidence from the article, which is thalidomide, which was tested on humans in Germany, or which was tested on animals in Germany, led to problems, led to over 10,000 deformities in humans. And then the second one was cleopanol.
I was thinking that earlier when I read the article, how you can use those in the gray, the darker color as the explanation. Because it gives you specific examples, really concrete ones.
Positive effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives the kids an example for how to research on animals.
Okay. Rapid release. So at this point, the kids have researched both sides. They have their pro side with their quotes and their explanations, the con side with their quotes and their explanations. So now in addition to what their parents tell them and what they think, they have a little bit of fact or, you know, something to back up their opinions. So we have them once again choose a side. So if you remember from our before picture, there were 4 little boys in the yes side, and now we have quite a few in the yes side. We have tons of the it depends, and I only ended up with 2. And then more jumped on the no bandwagon.
But I want to say on this one, we didn't have the article that you guys have. I feel like that after reading that article, this would be a different picture.
It's
Because
much
of all of
stronger.
we had a really rough time finding a really good article that was readable for our 5th graders. It was more the fluffed up of, what was the?
It was PETA Kids.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, it was a lot of, like, hug your pets.
So, anyway, I think there would be a change.
Partners.
Yeah, you can talk to her mom. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Then I do see, they get exposed to more evidence.
Yeah.
Moves them over to the other side.
None of our yeses went anywhere, none of our no's went anywhere. So none of the yeses or no's went anywhere. So once they were a yes, they stayed. Once they were a no, they stayed. If you, I don't know if you can like keep those kids in your head. So all of my yeses stayed yeses, all of my no's stayed no's. I only had my it depends change.
But when we've done this for workshops, we've seen people.
Yeah.
Oh.
So my 10-year-olds didn't change their mind. They changed from it depends to one side or the other, but they didn't move out of their yes stance or their no stance.
And you have any students who said, based on my learning, I'm curious. See, I guess the reason why I'm curious is because now we're looking at all this, I'm not in agreement. And the other students say, well, I need more evidence. Well, I think we need,
And we gave them 2 pro and 2 con,
yeah.
but we found that one of our pro wasn't wonderful and both cons weren't wonderful. So, no.
Did you have any students say, I'm sorry, I can't?
We had
That
a-
was not enough evidence for me to decide whether they were.
No, we had a lot of discussions. We had a lot of, after reading, stopping, discussing, and arguing. The kids had a lot of time to really verbalize what they thought throughout this. And I feel like kids got even more like cemented in their ways the more that they argued against their friends or their peers. You know, the more that they wanted to like support their camp to the bitter end and make them want to join them. But no one said like I don't feel like I know enough. And a lot of my no, I won't kids, it was like, well, like, poor Fido, like, what if they tested on him? You know, that was still like their really strong draw to know as opposed to like the scientific side. It was definitely emotional.
And Mike, you teach high school, right? 5th grade, they trust us. They think we know what we're talking about. We have snowballed. Nobody says, you know, this is I don't have enough information. They trust that I gave them enough information that they should know it.
They're like, please don't make me read anymore.
It's different.
High school too.
Well, don't you think that too, the word depends, maybe not knowingly, thought they didn't have enough information, possibly?
Yeah.
Because they were saying both ways.
Well, I
Yes.
didn't take that, but I
Because they said it was the like, yes for science, no for makeup was kind of their it depends. And so they actually had to do more because they had to support both of their sides.
So what do the Common Core say about evidence for opinions?
I can go back to our slide.
And I want to say another thing. Students are dualistic, when people are dualistic usually, and this may change now that we're being more rigorous with Common Core. They're dualistic until they experience the college curriculum as they begin to think in the different disciplines, and maybe as they're thinking in science and math now, in terms of reading and writing, that maybe they won't be so dualistic. You know, things are either right or wrong or black and white, no middle ground.
So D says, did I just do that wrong?
No,
B. Provide logically ordered reasons that are supported by facts and details. That's fifth grade world.
So I feel like we're definitely doing that, and this is their beginning of, although it shouldn't be anymore, right? It's not, it should be.
But it is a huge jump for 10-year-olds.
Yeah, it is.
Usually based on emotion rather than thought, so.
How about college students?
So our expectations at the end of this, so you just are going through a little taste of it, would be for the kids to make a claim, either side. Add 2 pieces of evidence for minimum, taking quotes from the text, but then also explaining or elaborating on those quotes, how they support whichever side they chose, and end with a call to action. So let me just give you, Kaley's got some papers up there, but a lot of kids said something like, so to advance medical research, I would, it's okay to keep testing on animals, but for any other reason, stop. There were some kids that did that kind of claim. Yeah, sure. You guys have a copy of our rubric, and we kind of revamped this as well. We tried to look off of Smarter Balance to see and kind of revamp to make sure we had some of the things that we need to have. So personal position and conclusion, background, and evidence. So those are the things. We also could have conventions as well. We just didn't add that. We changed this rubric this time. Nick.
Is there I was just curious because there's no one on the rubric, is that they get one for
We do.
There is.
Yeah, we just give it back to them and ask them to meet the standards. Yeah, we don't give them the opportunity to.
On this time, so we're going to support them a lot to try to get them to that point. So good question. That was a great question. Thanks, Nick.
All right, I just gave you 2 of my student little samples. So here's one of my yes. So yes, I think animal testing is okay because it says animal testing has played a vital role with making animal testing safe for humans. It also says 71 Nobel Prize winners won for good and safe medicine. I think that I can't read it correctly. I know that I would rather have a rat die than my mom, dad, or any family member die. Yes, keep testing, because my grandpa would have died if the medicine that they had used on him wasn't safe. Animal research has not just, and this is his quote or hers, animal research has not just helped humans, but it's also helped animals help and improve their lifespan. I think animal health testing should continue. And there's another one, I don't know if you want to read it. Should animal testing be used? Are you a no person? If so, then you are reading the right paper.
Here's my claim right.
Yes. In an article I read, there was stuff that is true on the side so that you can help animals, like support brands not tested on animals or shop cruelty-free. Those are kind of our fluffy articles that were wonderful. In bolded letters in the article, it says, millions of animals are poisoned, blinded, and killed each year in cruel experiments so that companies can test their personal care products. And there is no law in the U.S. that forbids animal experiments, no matter how painful or unnecessary. It's true, millions of animals are poisoned, killed, and blinded, no matter how painful or unnecessary it is. The good thing is that more than 1,000 companies have stopped torturing animals. With painful, unnecessary tests, if you want to stop cruelty animal testing, then you've got to start looking for products that say cruelty-free. That's our call to action. We should stop testing because we are torturing animals. Cute.
And that was it was the first, opportunity. We learned a lot from this. And Jacques can play some things we learned.
Well, and you want to go fast.
No, you're fine.
We took a lot of time to do this, and where we're heading with this on the CBA later, what the students have to do is they have to defend whether or not the colony should have declared their independence from Britain and why. So that was where we're heading for final product. But it took a long time to teach this, and there was a lot of mini lessons and support to get the kids.
Mission sessions.
What'd you say? Tons of discussion?
No, I'm just looking at my Excel here.
Oh, okay.
We were on a mission, Katie. Teach them. I'm sorry.
And we did some modeling, but I found out really strongly when I modeled how to do a pamphlet, you have to be really careful with 5th graders on how you model because they will write what you say. So the modeling has to be, if I'm learning, it has to be on something other than this topic to keep them from being brainwashed.
And that's it. That's all.
Oh, yes, Mindy.
I have two things. One, could you say a little bit about using Prezi, which is a free web-based program? Could you say a little bit?
Yeah. Has anyone used, I know some people have used Prezi before.
I gave a Prezi tutorial for the EUH students on campus.
Nice. Prezi, so if I go back to my Prezi, which is somewhere, but Prezi, it's like PowerPoint-ish, except it's just one big,
Not linear, really.
yeah, it's just one big slide, really, and then you create your own path. So this is my overall Prezi, if you look at it, and then they're all saved online. So you have like a Prezi folder that just, it's on the cloud. So no matter where you go, your Prezi is there. All right. So we are going to do a quick little conclusion lesson. Tara and I will be. So that was obviously Martin Luther King's speech where he is wrapping up his conclusion. That's his last chance to make a statement, to tell us anything that he wants to tell us. Okay? So he's doing the three things that a conclusion should do. He's addressing the important thesis. Okay? Freedom, equality, everyone, being judged for the inside, not for the outside. It gives a sense of completeness. It has that final impression that's left on the reader. So today we're going to look at two different strategies.
So the two strategies that we want to share with you today are answer the question, so what? So we try to choose two strategies that we thought you might be able to use in your own expository piece. So this is when you show the readers why your paper is important. Show them that it was meaningful and useful in some way. The second one is a challenge to the reader. Somehow you're challenging the reader to take the information from your text and apply it to their own lives. So Kaley's going to model how to do the challenge to the reader, and then I'll talk after that. That's okay, I can do that again.
I'm not as brave as Amy. I'm not going to write in front of you because as I was writing at home, I was like, that's terrible. Start again. That's not wonderful. Start again. So for my paper, I'm doing Christmas Olympics. So our family goes to Arizona and we are outside and we play games all day. So Tara, who's brilliant, was like, that would be a great way to conclude. Yours is to challenge other people to do the same thing with their families. So I have three different starts, and I don't think I'm going to use any of them, but I'm in the right direction. So things like, and you can see my wonderful penmanship as I did this last night and this morning. So I challenge you to spice up your family tradition this year by adding some outdoor games. Start small, 2 or 3 games. You don't have to be in the sun. Your games can be adapted to the snow. And then I didn't really love that, so I stopped. So then I started again with a challenge. So I said, as Christmas rolls around and you're beginning to think about how to entertain all of your family and friends at your house, think about adding some Christmas Olympics to your family tradition. Start small. I clearly got a little repetition here. 1 or 2 games, cut it down. And plan them according to your available space, weather. This year when you're thinking about? Okay, so they're all, if you kind of notice my theme. But I'm challenging my reader, or I will be eventually when I come up with my fabulous conclusion, to do as I have done. Okay, so I'm giving them that challenge, that ending thought to leave them with.
Does that make sense to everyone? I know that in our little group, I thought of at least 2 or 3 people that could challenge the reader based on what they were choosing to write. Now, so one thing some of you don't know about me is I'm married to a football coach, and that I guess you could see that with my writing yesterday. But I have a student sample from Appendix C from the Common Core, and it's an article about football. So this is an 8th grade informative explanatory essay. And what I want you to do with your partner is I want you to finish this conclusion with a so what. So I want you to read what they've read, or what they've written, and then I want you to think to your partner, to yourself, so what? And try to help them come up with a conclusion. Help write a conclusion for this piece. All right, so as you guys have finished reading, were there any things that kind of struck you from the writer about football? Any words that kind of stood out? Words. Yeah, like what?
Level,
Madman.
Unload for a stick. I was thinking that there was a
stinking football.
That's context, right? That's good.
So it means specific vocabulary.
Yes, yes. I thought about passion, discipline, a release, because he talked about a release, and a focus that you have to have. Anything else? Marcus? Mental aspect?
I heard all the senses.
All the senses. Marco?
I just thought it was interesting how he plays football for the same reason that most people watch. That there's this physical violence and intrigues, but there's also a mental part of the game that you like to watch.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of discipline too. So what? So why do you think, how could this person have ended this paper? He's telling you all about the reasons he likes it. And I think there's even sometimes he doesn't really love it. There's little pieces and nuances, but he plays it because of all the other reasons that he loves it. You know what I mean? That there's this, I would think it's kind of a tug of war sometimes. Because just like we do everything, right? CrossFit or whatever. You love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah.
So how can we start this off? Someone help me out with starting out with a sentence. An idea. Yeah.
You might think what happens on the field stays on the field, but really, something.
I like that start. You might think what happens in the field.
Should be on the football field.
But you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. 'Cause you could say you could take all these things into life, you know, I don't know. What do you think?
But a lot of it goes on in your mind.
Say that again?
But a lot of it goes on in your mind.
Much of the lessons you learn are applicable to real life. Are applicable to real life. Should we end with one more sentence, probably at least? What about some of those listings of passion for what you enjoy doing, discipline, release, focus? Help me out. How should we start that? And as a teacher, I can stand here all day, but you know I won't. But help me to help you.
Let's make sure this.
Yeah.
Mental discipline, concentration,
Mental discipline. Mental discipline. What else did you say? Concentration.
Can we go 110%?
Yeah.
Is effort? Can we say effort?
Yeah.
Will I be parallel? With parallel that now.
Passion. Effort.
It says mental discipline. Okay, so we're fair with effort.
And focus. Ooh, commitment. That was a good one. Mental discipline, concentration, passion, effort, commitment.
Are all part of the game.
Is it ENCE or ANCE? And focus are all part of the game. And life. Ooh, part of the game of life. That's good. Of life. Nice work, you guys. Okay, so here we go. You might think what happens on the football field stays on the field, but much of the lessons you learn are applicable to real life. Mental discipline, concentration, passion, effort, commitment, resilience, and focus are all part of the game of life. Ooh, I like that. Thanks, Woo! these two strategies, or they might not work for your piece. So Kathy helped us find some ideas off of the OSPI website about other ways to write a conclusion. So if you turn to the back page or to over, here are possibilities as well. An echo from the beginning of the piece, alluding to the introduction of the essay, but not a repetition. A quote or some kind of dialogue using the exact words of an expert or conversation. An anecdote or a scenario, so this short story that relates or illustrates a point. An interesting fact, prediction, a question. Sometimes your writing will lead them to other questions they might have, and those are great ways to end as well. A call to action, which we've already addressed in our previous presentation. A generalization from given information, so drawing conclusions from the points made in the paper that can be generalized to other situations. A self-reflection. This might be really good for some of your expository works. Self-examination to encourage the reader to connect to the ideas. We already said a so what, so that's ours. And a combination of the above list. So you can use more than one strategy in your conclusion. But we just thought this would help you with your piece, which we're going to move into. But before we do that, I just wanted to share, do you remember me talking about the Martin Luther King book yesterday? So I grabbed that out of my class, and the cool thing about this is that it has a piece of art to go with each picture. So great discussions. For example, I'm going to show you this one. Remember when he talked about the check? They were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir, and then they defaulted on the promissory note. So here it says there's a check, and it says to the African American people, and then the dollars there are about 4 question marks for the dollars and then 2 for the cents. Amount uncertain, life, liberty. So the memo is life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness from the United States of America, and the date is forever one with question marks. So every picture has an artist had been commissioned to go with that part of the speech. So there's amazing conversations when you read this part and you ask the kids to connect, how does this picture go with this text? So I use this pretty much every year, and the kids, it's a hard speech, as you know, especially for 5th graders, but they definitely pull out a lot of the main content that they need, the ideas. So anyway, it's an awesome book, and I'll leave it over here for you. But that is our conclusion.